Hello and welcome to episode 36 of Trade Talks Unlocking the Experience. My special guest today is Mark Violand. He's an industry veteran with nearly 44 years of experience in carpet cleaning and restoration. He's a certified expert and instructor. What that means is he is an IICRC certified carpet inspector and approved instructor. He is one of the most trusted flooring inspectors in the space, and he is known as Northeast Ohio's go-to flooring inspector. He also has a very prestigious leadership role as president of Violand Flooring Inspections and Instruction. Please welcome Mark.
Morning. Hi.
Good morning. Welcome. It's full circle. We get to meet again and have a nice chat.
Thanks, Kayla. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, you're very, very welcome. So we were talking before we hit record, and there's just, I know quite a bit about you, and I've had the opportunity to learn from you. But, for those of you who may not know, your background, how did you get into our industry?
Oh, so that's when you say the 44 years and things like that, that was how to, I use the phrase quite often. Back in the day when I had more hair than brains, I got in the industry with my brother Chuck Violand, as some of you, a lot of you probably know that name. And he and I are brothers. We still live within miles of each other, growing up in the same county that we were born in, and still live there. So here we are, how many years later, in an industry that he and I were in business together for a period of time, and we parted ways, and he went off to doing consulting, and I was the geek of the company. So I went into doing flooring inspection and instruction and training. And that was I actually started doing training in 1995. And it was one of those things, just the relationships. And at that time, there was a new class rolling out with the IICRC, commercial carpet maintenance technician. And a good friend in the industry, Lee Pemberton, one of my mentors, and his son, Jim, they invited me to become one of their instructors. And as you say, the rest is history. It went from carpet cleaning technician, commercial maintenance technician, and then carpet repair and reinstallation technician, teaching all of those classes. And yeah, how the industry has changed, right? You talk about how the industry has changed. So here I
Yeah,
am.
yeah, it definitely has changed. And I will definitely say, I've had the opportunity to work with you in a couple different facets, right? At my time at the IICRC, but then I've also had the opportunity to read some of your stuff and learn from you. And we were talking about that. There's two pieces in particular that just
Yeah.
really stand out to me. And, it really changed my mindset on the way I look at things, think about things, assess things.
Hmm.
So if you will, I think you might have passed off a little bit of geekiness to me in this industry because there's always questions, right? What does this mean? Why should we do this? Should we not do this? And for those of you that know, those two pieces are one is on powder deodorizers and the other is on a small fire with a candle. If you haven't read those, I implore you to do
Yeah.
so because they provided a very unique perspective for me, and those were early in my career, and I'm so thankful for that. You're not only an instructor and an inspector, you're a writer, right? um
And that was one thing that, I felt I was writing reports. I might as well write an article about some of the things that I'm seeing in people's homes that cause problems with carpet, that cause problems with flooring. And, just to share that with sales reps. That's who I was sharing it with, owners of stores, other people in the industry. That's who I was sharing it with. Well, now it's exploded. And again, I attribute that to my team of my daughters that, again, I did not have to twist their arms to get them involved with dad's business. But Jessica was a natural shoe-in because she is a credentialed inspector. She's also really risen above that in just an inspector. She's chair of the S220. She is deeply involved in the industry. She is vice president of the National Institute of Certified Floor Covering Inspectors, the only industry association just for flooring and carpet inspectors. So she has really taken off of that. She makes me look good. She's my bookkeeper, my office manager. She's my COO, and keeps us on track with different things. And then my middle daughter, Claire, as I was sharing, she is my computer person to keep me up to speed. How's the saying go? When you take your car in for service, the problem that you took it in for service isn't happening right then because it was scared. Oh, you're taking me to the car. Well, as soon as Claire walks into my office, the problem that I was having with my computers is fixed. But yeah, she's my person. She makes me look good. She does a lot of the that makes the articles look good, the artwork and
Yeah.
things of that sort, but also puts different programs together for me too. She does some of those things. And then my youngest daughter, Alyssa, and I say youngest, 39, um, but I call her my muscle. She's just scrappy, and she helps me to do some of the things, the larger jobs, and some lots of hands and knees work, as in concrete moisture testing. So she helps me with that. But it's a wonderful thing to have each of my daughters who live nearby, which is also very convenient. But when we need to, we will Zoom.
Right. I mean, that's the power of technology, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it does make a difference in weather, right? You live in Ohio, so weather can be a thing. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not so great to, drive out in blizzard conditions, but I will definitely say they all provide a unique perspective and they help you all in different ways. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with Jessica. In fact,
Yeah.
if I ever have any questions, that's who I ask. I say, "Hey, Jessica," that's who I can ask.
Yep.
She's
Yep.
so reliable, and I've had the opportunity to interview her as well. We
That's
made, I
great.
believe, an inspection video when I was at the IICRC, and she was one of the women that we interviewed, and it was great. It was great to
That's
hear her
great.
perspective. And she does a lot for this industry.
Yeah.
Just as you do and your other girls as well. It's just so cool to see it run as deep in your family as it does.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, you're speaking at the experience this
Yeah.
year, and I reached out to Jess, and when we were talking about this, and I thought it was extremely important. You have some very unique viewpoints and experience that I feel like would be very beneficial for those who are in attendance. So, can you kind of talk about your topic a little bit for us?
Well, some of the things that I obviously bring to the presentations that I do is things that this guy sees out in the field, and even Jessica has picked up on that, and we'll do a Facebook post about what did Mark look at, or what was this, and these kind of things, and it's just simple stuff, but in this guy's brain, I go beyond why is this happening, and why things that can happen in people's homes and even commercial businesses that cleaners get blamed for unnecessarily. And you brought up the powder deodorizer. Here, let me reach over here because I'm in my classroom, and I'll bring up one of those powder deodorizers and talk about that. And I hate to, but this stuff is not good for carpet. Even though people use it all the time, because carpet smells, and it's
Yeah,
because the industry has, well, the industry, but the consuming public, the having pets in homes has exploded since COVID
yeah,
because they're part of the family now. But carpets get that odor, and people want to mask that odor and then sprinkle these kind of things on it. And I am certain some of you out in the industry, you cleaners, restorers even, have seen the damaging effect that powdered deodorizers do. The main ingredient is sodium bicarbonate, which is highly alkaline, and that can cause damage to the latex in the backing of the carpet, weaken it, cause dimensional instability issues, and then seams start to open up, and then carpet cleaners get blamed for the seam opening up. Well, why did that happen? Or what's this white stuff that had wicked up on the carpet after it dried? Well, it's the powdered deodorizer, but the
yeah.
other ingredient in it, and this is just, you just kind of wonder what is going on here. Sodium silicate, it's a form of sand. Baking soda is a water soluble abrasive, right? Restorers use it for graffiti removal and smoke and, things of that sort of cleaning, but also for using sand. What does that do? And I don't have my sample. Here's I do. You see this like piece of plastic here, plexiglass. I've taken that and just rubbed some of that powdered deodorizer on here. You should see the scratches that are left behind. What are carpet fibers made out of?
Ooh, that's a good point.
We call it nylon,
Yeah,
polypropylene, polyester, things of that sort. It's plastic. And when plastic scratches, it you see it differently. You've
yeah.
seen the effect of what's called traffic lane gray in
Oh,
people's
yeah,
homes and businesses. You can't fix that. And people are saying, my carpet still looks dirty there. No, it's not. It's scratches.
yeah.
And that's
Damaged.
the damaging effect. And I think the other thing that you brought up too, Kayla, was about the fire that I had in my home. You know how stupid I feel about that?
Happens to the best
Pretty
of us. In
stupid.
fact, we just recently we didn't have a fire, thankfully, but we we left a candle on, and
Yep.
the sheer panic and like, oh gosh, we were checking like our Ring cameras and everything every so often just to make sure, like nothing's going on. But to your point, I can only imagine how you feel, right? You're in this industry and you had a fire in your own home that could have been
Mm-hmm.
avoidable.
Yeah. And it could have been avoided if I'd have blown the candles out. My youngest daughter and her son or her husband and boys were over. We were having supper together. We went to church, quickly ran out the door to get to church, and we forgot to blow the candles out on the Advent wreath. Came home to a house full of smoke. And you just say, how dare that? And you ask people in the industry, even my RRT students, carpet cleaning technician students, have you ever had a water loss? And you see a couple of hands, and anybody ever have a fire in your home? You know how disruptive that is. And it just throws your whole world into a whirlwind, right? I guess I'm not sleeping here tonight, that type of stuff. If it's a water loss, yeah, it might be affected in just a small area. Smoke goes everywhere.
Yeah.
It happened in my dining room, two-story home, well, with a basement, lower level of my home, but the smoke stayed up and it got everywhere, everywhere. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, right?
Hmm.
Because we're ready to have Christmas. Was going to have Christmas at Dad's house, at the homestead. No, it had to be someplace else.
Yeah.
But it's a heck of a way to get all of your walls painted, all of your ceilings and everything cleaned in your home. Glad I had good insurance. But the disruption, being out of my home for over 3 months for that to be
Hmm.
taken care of, I was very fortunate. I have a brother and sister in law who winter in Florida. Their home's just a few miles away from where I live. I was able to move in there. How convenient, right? Who doesn't have that? Oh, isn't it be so nice to have all your walls painted, Mark? Oh, aren't you glad that nobody got hurt? Yeah. Can I show you my heart?
Yeah.
I mean, that hurt.
Yeah. Well, it's an
Yeah.
emotional thing too, right? And I also think too, to your point, not everybody's that fortunate. And those are just two of the pieces that you really shared your personal,
Mm-hmm.
vision. One happened to be in your own home. One happened to be just a common, one's about a common product that most consumers use, because it makes your house smell good, right? You don't
Yeah.
smell the animals, or you don't smell the dirt or the dust. But and I I don't even want to know how many people use deodorizers every single time they vacuum, because if they do that, that is very scary too. Maybe that's your next piece. Um,
The
but
the fragrance industry is $1 billion industry.
yeah, yeah,
Smells sell.
they really do. They really do, right? I mean, hence you had candles, even though it was for the Advent wreaths, you still had
Yep.
candles, right? And
Yep.
if they weren't scented, they still look pretty, right? Uh,
Right. And I've
so
even written articles about the sooting that comes from candles in previous articles that I've written about that. And well, here's this guy. No more burning candles in my home anymore. Nope.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Where does the soot go? When you're burning a
Everywhere.
candle. Oh, doesn't that smell like apple pie? Oh,
Yeah.
cinnamon, and it smells like Thanksgiving in here. It's wonderful. Where's the soot go?
It's everywhere.
We're breathing it.
Yeah, we're breathing it. And I think, that's in this industry, it's a little different because we have a different lens, right?
Yeah,
And so, our consumers, everyday consumers don't really realize that. And that's for me at that point in my career, I was a consumer too, right? I still am a consumer, but also, learning the industry at that time years ago was just very interesting. And, to see it and it change the way you do things as a person is
yeah,
just so impactful, right? Like I think anytime we have an event and people are going and staying in a hotel, the hotel has no idea what kind of people are staying there. Like they have zero idea who's staying in their room.
yep,
Um, and we are the biggest critics. I mean, any event that you go to, people are talking about the room that they're in, period. Doesn't matter if it's immaculate, if they notice water stains, if they notice that,
yep,
the carpet isn't done right, or maybe they notice condensation in a certain area, which they know that's going to probably cause mold, or is there already mold in this structure and I just can't see
yeah.
it? So, I think that we have a very unique lens, and it's always a fun time to hear everybody's stories. But, before we close, one fun fact about you? And I think you already kind of shared it, but is there anything else that you think would be good to share that maybe nobody knows about you?
Wow. All right. I came in third place in the demolition derby.
Really?
Now, this goes way back. All right. This goes
Still?
way back. But I had a car that was given to me by an uncle, and it was a Delta 88. So it was a beast of a car, anyhow.
Hmm.
And went through the first trial, and came out third in that one. And then in the final demolition derby, the heat of the night, I came in third place because I couldn't get my car started. It wouldn't
Oh,
start. And the two brothers, as they always have, won.
oh man.
They
Hey,
had
but
station
still,
wagons.
that's still so cool. I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that.
I was so sore. It's like getting into 500 accidents.
Yeah. Yes, so true. And for those of you who have never been to a demolition derby, the sport is ramming each other with your vehicle.
And not getting a ticket and
And
calling
just
insurance.
right. But that is also that has its own identity. I mean, people they go all out on their cars
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
it's such a cool atmosphere and experience. But wow, Demolition Derby. Wow, I would have never guessed that. That's such a great fun fact. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, golly.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you for joining me today. It was a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you here in Vegas in the fall and see what you're talking about. I always learn something from you, so I'm really excited. And for all of you guys watching, you can check him out at the Experience in Las Vegas, Nevada, September 3rd through 5th. And as always, you can see us on Spotify, Facebook, and our website. You can register today at rnrmagonline.com, and we will see you on the next episode of Trade Talks Unlocking the Experience. Thank you for joining us. Take care.